Welcome to the Triple Takeover Toycast, a fortnightly podcast all about Transformers and occasionally other toy lines as well. My name is Sixo, but with me as ever are my two glorious co-hosts. We've got Liam from Toybox Soapbox.
What ho?
There he is. And Jason from G-Suede.
Hello there, gents. Good to see you both as always.
How are we all doing? All good? Excited for this one?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. We've rarely touched upon comics on the main episodes. I know we do the more than meets the eye, Goldbox classic stuff and the Skybound, but considering how much we all love the Marvel comics and the IDW comics, and how much I love the Dreamwave comics and stuff like that,
and the Skybound comics,
there's so much, and we've never touched it, and it's nice to finally get here.
We have a lot of comic chat on the Patreon stuff, don't we? So we have two ongoing mini-series about Skybound, about IDW, and we've had James Roberts on, and he's coming on again soon, so that's pretty exciting. So and we might have a few other comic related guests before too long, so that should be pretty exciting as well. But a lot of comic chat on there. But you're right, on the main episodes, it's a subject that we've not really done too much on before.
Yeah, we reference it quite a lot, but we've not got dug in to it as well.
These other guests, do you think we'll ever get someone like, say, Nick Roche on, or do you think he'll always just be doing other people's podcasts?
He's too busy.
Too busy on
podcasts. Yeah,
he's on other podcasts.
Either that or looking at the toy designs from Earthspark and Smiths.
No, I think it's the other podcasts. That's what's really eating up his time, I think, at the moment.
That's what he's doing these days.
Busy guy.
Too busy for us.
Too busy
turning up to the opening of an envelope. Honestly, no time for Triple Takeover.
we just need to blank him at TFM. That's what
right,
it is,
exactly.
It?
Who's that guy?
Who's that guy over there?
We'll get him on eventually.
I know. We love him, really.
Yeah, we do.
Love you, Nick. Love that guy.
Yeah,
we do. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. I want him on the podcast.
We're going to get so much.
He's not too busy. Exactly. So, Nick Roche. Maybe another day, we'll see. That would be lovely if that came true. But for today, this is episode 80, by the way, so that's kind of a milestone.
It's a milestone.
Really. Is it a milestone?
It's got 0 at the end.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. It's a round number, so it's
exactly.
It's like it's a new 10, isn't it? So
exactly.
Is this like an octogenarian? Is this what happens when you get to that?
I think your joints definitely start creaking before 80. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's what we are now. We're like pension age, aren't we? Well, we're way beyond pension age.
I'm feeling slightly weird about the fact that we feel like we're on the sort of, I don't know, the road towards episode 100 now. That's just something.
Well, yeah, it's not far, is it?
Yeah,
I was thinking we're on the road to being the same age as Dick Van Dyke.
Oh God. I'm not sure podcast years are the same as human years.
It's like
dog years. Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly.
Yeah,
totally.
We've still got life in us yet. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Although I definitely got I got some feedback today about being I got described as an older fan.
I take that as a compliment.
Man.
Yeah, there you go. It's like, why, thank you. I appreciate you.
I was like, I guess it's true. What can I say?
That's it. I'm the oldest of fans. So that's it.
An older fan. There we go. So sad.
I doff my cap to you, young sir.
Well, I'm a whippersnapper compared to you, mate. What are you on about?
There we go. That's what we should start the new service. Older fans, like only fans.
Yeah.
Older fans. No one's paid for that, mate. I can tell you.
Totally. They pay to not see anything. Exactly.
Yeah. So we're going to get into it tonight with some comics chat, which is really exciting. The deal with this is that basically we've been through and we've each selected some of our favourite comic covers from over the years. Could be Marvel, could be Dreamwave, I guess, could be. Could be IDW,
Spoilers.
Could be Skybound. Definitely could be Marvel, I would say. In that case, there's definitely some Marvel going on there. It's definitely a Marvel theme. But it's hard because those are the comic covers from my childhood, so it's in terms of images burnt into your brain, it's
easy to choose all of them from there, isn't it?
Yeah,
really, when you think about it.
It certainly is easy.
I'll fess up, I've not done that.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad that you haven't. I was worried that we might all do that, as I probably have. But
we'll okay, good to know. Yeah, okay,
exactly.
Then.
Yeah,
good to know.
I tried not to, but but we'll get into all of that in a minute. We should mention before we kind of kick off that we do have a sponsor for the evening, and that is tfsource.com. You can check them out for all your Transformers and third-party needs, and we will do today a longer segment on them in the middle of the pod, as ever. And we also have a Patreon as well. I'm saying that correctly, aren't I, gents?
Yes.
Wow, yeah, first time. Nailed it.
I know.
I don't think it's the first time. I think in 80
No, I meant
episodes.
you nailed it first time. Normally you get it right now, and then you then say the wrong thing. You follow it straight up with
That's true.
Patreon? Patreon? It's like,
no second
Patreon,
guessing.
like patron.
Yeah, got it right first time.
Believe in yourself. We do.
Thank you very much. It's your confidence that spurs me on. That's what it is. But yeah, no, we do have a Patreon. I nearly said Patreon then, but I didn't.
Oh, you see?
See,
That's it.
yeah. See there it is.
The confidence, I felt it, you know?
Yeah.
Believe in myself. But yeah, so we do have a Patreon. We're going to talk about that later as well. And then do stick around to the end because we've, as ever, got some Patreon questions from our patrons. And we'll talk about our new patrons as well. Nearly. Nearly. Liam's sighing.
Patrons.
Yeah,
patrons.
Patrons. Yeah. We'll welcome our patrons.
Yeah, patrons.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to welcome our patrons. We've got all of that to look forward to. And Liam, you're going to do, I presume, your infamous Redbubble segment as ever.
I don't know what you mean. I might have a question for someone, but I don't know. They're just all regular people from different geographical regions of the world.
Joes.
Yeah. What did we have last time? Phyllis Stein.
Yeah, she seemed quite nice. I don't know. She's got a very old person name, isn't it? But yeah, seemed like a nice thought.
Yeah, sure. I mean, definitely hang around for that because why would you not? Honestly. So comics then. How do we want to do this, guys? If you've all assembled, I think we said sort of 4 or 5 choices, didn't we? Each.
We did.
See how many we get through.
So I've saved each of my covers so that I can drop them into our Discord.
I've narrowed my choices down to 10.
What?
Well, I stuck to the brief.
Are you filling in for Maz as well here? You've got 5.
No. I see how many I can sneak past you. Might just drop a few extras in.
Oh, really?
We should have got Maz because he would have done all the variants of More Than Meets the Eye, wouldn't he? Stay on brand, it would have to be variants.
I've got a challenge, though, because I don't know where to start. Because Sixo, you've said that you are kind of maybe leaning into a G1 there. So do I just do a curveball? And shall I kick us off? Why don't I kick us off?
You kick us off. Yeah, go on, Jason.
I'm going to kick you off.
Bring your big hater energy.
Bring the vibes.
That's totally my vibes, isn't it?
We just literally as we were about to hit record, we had a comment on our Discord about your destroying the Studio Series toy from last time. One of our patrons, Cutest Princess, just was talking about the fact that you were clearly not a fan of the Studio Series. Optimus Prime.
I'm sorry if I upset you, Cutest Princess, but
it's because he's been on this podcast. He's gone from being like all wide-eyed and excited about everything, and now he's becoming bitter and cynical about children's toys.
Yeah, that's what I love that you were described as having big hater energy in with capital letters at the start of those words as well. I think it's brilliant. Big hater, Jason.
I know. First time in my life.
Did you, Jason? A minute ago, did you say that when you said you didn't choose G1? This is like a
G1.
This is a technicality. I know it is G2, but it's but the way you said it, like, I haven't chosen G1, was it as if you were going to be like Unicorn Trilogy or Beast Wars?
No, it's a great choice.
So for everyone listening, and we'll find a way so that you can see these nice images, most likely on our channels. When you're listening to this,
don't promise that we're not. I know. If you're a patron,
if you're a patron,
actually, we do post them for patrons on our Discord. It's a little perk of our Patreon is that we'll post these.
You can also find them on the TF Wiki and Google.
We'll tell you what the images are. If you're listening to this and you're not a patron, you can Google it. How's that?
That's a good idea.
Numbers
but the idea is that you're better off just signing up to the Patreon.
Exactly. It's a little added
convenience.
Convenience, exactly.
So this is Generation 2 issue 1, which is very much. It's a Marvel comic. It's
a Marvel comic.
Continuing the story.
Generation 2.
This is absolutely in the sphere of Generation 1.
I legit thought he was coming in with something like a Beast Wars, or, like Unicorn Trilogy or something completely different.
Well, but he was like, maybe there's more curveballs coming later.
Is it War Within? Is it IDW?
This isn't a curveball.
Yeah, it's going to be Regeneration next.
Jason.
I still have this comic, Jason, in the other
room.
So do
I. So I've got it bagged and boarded because so the reason I love this
is true fan, a true collector.
A true collector, exactly. I probably have 2 copies of it as well. It's not only a trifold, so it opens up and it has one of the kind of best comic book posters that is just so of its time that I just have such fond memories of this. Like I do a lot of comic covers, but I remember seeing this in the shop. They really went for it. And this is back when, comics were like, yeah, I'm really going to sound old now, but, this was a cardboard kind of cover that you had for it as well. It was foil wrapped as well. So like Optimus Prime's mask.
This is proper 90s fare. This is
absolutely. Now, let's keep in mind Generation 2, what lasted 12 issues and then it was dead. That was it.
Yeah. G-Axis, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it didn't quite work out. But look at that poster as well.
Yeah, it's great.
It's great, isn't it? All the favourites, amazing.
There's one thing I always laugh about this poster is that I love it, but it's Megatron's fireball coming out of his cannon. It just this small. It looks like a small cloud, doesn't it?
It's a sun.
it's like he's gone poof. This cannon rolls just warming up. It's more of a
It's like a joke cannon. Yeah, it's quite funny.
Pow. Puff of smoke.
So this is, of course, gorgeous Derek Yaniger art. It's incredible. It just love it. I wish that he'd done more on this book, because he kind
Grimacesaurus.
It's just amazing. What do you make? I'm interested now because you've brought it up. What do you make of the character in the bottom right of the inside fold?
So for me, that I see as a pretender because it's got a humanoid face behind it. Mm-hmm. But I see it as a Bumblebee pretender.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, do you know who it could be? And this is really random.
Tell me.
It's supposedly based on an actual toy. It's this guy. It's G2 Terradive. Sorry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, who's one of the Sky Scorchers. Look at the head sculpt on that. And it's pretty much spot on. I mean, it's clearly a Decepticon because Snarl is firing at them.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The head sculpt, it does not at all explain why there's a human face underneath the visor. That is a complete mystery. I don't think anybody knows what the deal is with that. But it quite clearly is the same head sculpt from this toy.
Yeah, and actually, if you look in, who's that? Are they all the G2 aerial bots? In the background.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Absolutely coming in the background. I mean, it's a weird composition all around.
Because it's like background.
It's absolute madness, isn't it?
Easy. Yeah, it is madness, yeah.
Well, it's the fact that, Prime's got bullets, shells coming out of his gun. There's... Who's that guy doing a backflip just under Prime's kind of armpit as well?
I need to zoom in for Grimlock.
Yeah. And all even the weapons, it's so kind of human military style that they've got on this as well.
Yeah, that was G2, wasn't it? It's notable here that Prime actually has his toy gun in his right hand. Yeah, that's the G2 toy gun.
Yeah.
Whereas normally they just have these kind of made up, as you say, sort of human military. Sort of whatever they are, whatever. Yeah, machine guns kind of thing. Yeah, chain guns and stuff.
So 90s, isn't it?
It really is.
You look at this and you look at the cover as well. The gun Prime's holding with all of the little target in sight, and it's every Image comic, every comic of the time with these guns that had all these nonsensical features. That when you look at if you look at Snarl's guns there, all this stuff on the top, and he's just using machine guns. They're clearly pointless.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, totally.
Absolutely pointless. So I got to tell you about this issue and this comic cover because two things. Firstly, I remember where I was when I first saw it. I was on the bus and I was reading Previews magazine, which some of you may remember was, all the kind of upcoming solicitations for comics. Pre-internet, of course, this was how you learnt about what the new comics were that were coming up. There was no social media or any of that. It was just you had to actually read a book that you had to get, and in there was kind of sometimes little preview images and stuff of the upcoming issues. And I saw this solicitation for Transformers Generation 2 issue 1 and this picture and the whole "This is not your father's Autobot" on the cover, and genuinely I just remember straight away I was like, oh yes, this is amazing.
Yeah, totally.
Look at this, incredible. I was completely sold by this art, this cover. It hit at exactly the right time for me. That sort of whoa, yeah, something a bit edgier. Do you know what I mean? And
absolutely, because look at Prime. He's got 2-3 bullets embedded in his head.
Yeah,
it's just and what a statement this is not. your father's Autobot,
Which never made sense, because let's be fair.
Because none of us were old enough.
Yeah, I mean, it released like a couple of years after the end of the original comics. So it's like, we've not skipped a whole generation here. Do you know what I mean? My dad was not at this point reading Transformers comics originally.
What year was it? So was it like 92, 91?
93 or 4, yeah.
93, 94.
Totally.
So you're like thinking it's only 10 years removed from the very beginning of Transformers.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
How many of them have got kids and those kids are old enough to be reading?
The statement never made any sense, but it's funny nonetheless.
It's an amazing image though, and the yellow eyes. I'm always a big fan of that. But I always like the shiny embossed logo on it, and the Transformers.
Really tactile.
It came in two versions. It came in a sort of regular. Obviously, the holofoil one was one copy, and then you just got the regular paper version as well. I actually took this to BotCon Europe 1999 and got it signed by Simon Furman.
Oh, really?
Oh, wicked.
So my plan for TFN is to take my copy and get Simon to sign it at this year's TFN. I'd love to do that. Yeah.
This comic as well was like re-released like years later. I don't think it was so much re-released as that like they just took excess stock and they put it into like a little cardboard box thing with a couple of other comics. Because I remember seeing it in the early 2000s. It was in like quite a few comic shops. Just a really random appearance was this comic, and it came in this like sort of cardboardy box thing.
Oh, they did it with the G.I. Joe crossover issues. Yeah. That was and it was the silver embossed one as well.
Mm-hmm.
They did do that. Yeah, I think it had 3 other issues of it was G.I. Joe, but the issues that featured Megatron, where Megatron is rebuilt.
Yeah, because he used to do that sort of stuff with comics all the time. Like you'd find like packs of old comics just randomly thrown into, like there'd be like one Simpsons comic and a bunch of
Batman, totally.
Something like the Lone Ranger, just random things.
For sure. Kicking us off in style, Jason. I like it. It's definitely still in the Marvel Generation 1 era.
I'll accept that, but gatefold cover, amazing. It's good.
Yeah.
Okay,
cool.
Well, I'm going to go next then, and I'm going to come in with the greatest Transformers comic cover of all time.
Wow. Exciting. Here we go.
Is it?
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I looked at this one. I considered this one.
Yeah.
Really? This
issue 100.
Issue 100 of the Marvel UK Transformers comic, and it is this wonderful, just full covers it from front to back of the Autobots and Decepticons just fighting. And I remember the first time I saw this as a kid, and just it took me back. And what it did was something that was really different for the time, because even though the comic had the vintage characters at the time, the toys and the cartoons it was all like the 86 characters, wasn't it? It was later. And so seeing this image again with all of the vintage characters like this in 1987 was just like, whoa. It's the original ones again. It's not Hot Rod, Cup and Pals. It is like even Trailbreaker, and it's just amazing cover.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I
really
love
is.
It's even just the sounds a bit random. It's the ground that they're standing on and the detail and the painterly quality of this. Thinking about how this was made, the actual technique that went behind this to do this piece of work.
Yeah, Marvel UK had a real tradition of this throughout, actually, and especially it became even more of a thing towards the sort of later years of the run of these sorts of like beautifully painted covers and things like that, and this was a real landmark part of that. Just absolutely gorgeous,
and the proper logo as well.
Like Transformers.
The original version of the Transformers logo, the sort of metallic one, like the classic one, because the comics frequently changed it, but this is still, when I see that on anything, it's like, whoa. But the artist it's a guy called Alan Davis, isn't it?
It was.
That's right, yeah.
I know nothing about him. I saw that on the TF Wiki. Not going to lie.
Well, I do know a bit about this one, actually, because, firstly, there's a lot of characters on that, but on this, that most of which are quite easily identifiable. But you see that, obviously, Jazz is on the left-hand, on the back cover, because it's a wraparound on the back cover. Jazz is getting punched in the mouth by an arm.
Here's the best sort of part of it, though, because it looks like it's just like popping in to go, hi! I was being whacked in the face.
I was intrigued by who the arm was, because, all the others are so easily identifiable. And then it was like, is this just some random arm, or what's happening there? And our good friend, James Wilson, actually help me out with this because so James is quite, relatively well connected in the comic world. Used to work in Orbital Comics in London, and definitely knows his stuff. I mean, he knows tons about this comic.
Very really good friend of ours. Yeah.
Good guy. Really good guy all round. He actually got in touch with Alan Davis to ask him about the composition of this and kind of how it came to be, specifically after an article I wrote. Basically, it turns out that Alan's son, whose name is Thomas, decided which characters were going to go on this. Apparently he did it because his son was a huge fan of Transformers and all of this kind of stuff, and his son actually got to pick which characters were featured. But apparently when it came to this arm that's punching Jazz, he just kind of sketched out a rough composition. So it's an unknown. It's not a specific character or anything like that. But yeah, for the rest of it, it was actually his son that kind of decided how it was all going to be put together.
It's amazing. Like everywhere you look, it's just iconography, isn't it? You see Prowl, you see Laserbeak, Wheeljack.
And
then I think that, is it Hotspot that Ravage is jumping on?
Yeah, I was trying to work that out as well, actually.
I remember quite a few years ago, a good friend of ours, Kev Gorman, was doing a photo recreation of this. Yeah. And he asked me to take a picture of Hotspot in this position. And so he made it. And we didn't have a Hotspot toy, like the Generations one. So I took that photo and he put it into it. So, and it's always like, it is Hotspot, isn't it?
I miss his comic cover recreations. They were
amazing.
He did a book of them at one point, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
He did, yeah. I got one of those. That was cool. That was very cool.
They were really cool. Oh, good choice, Liam.
It is a great choice. Yeah, nice one. Yeah.
It's great. It's just, man, like, I think it's Thew has a print of it, like a big print on his wall.
I want that.
And I would love to get one of those.
Yeah.
Because it's all the Transformers iconography you would want. It's a wonderful image.
Or around to Thew's house then, check it out.
Yeah.
It's true. Sounds good.
He'll be so confused.
Bay's never heard that before.
Wow. Oh, dear. Right, is it my turn?
It is.
Yeah, go for it.
Drop it.
See, now I've got to choose. That's the thing. And you're buggers because you've both gone Marvel. And now I feel bad because I'm also going Marvel. So it's like we're just being a bunch of G1ers, just talking about our G1.
We're marveling over these covers, though, aren't we?
Yeah. In all seriousness, it is hard because there are many, many more modern examples that I love. But there is, growing up with this stuff, and particularly for me, the comic was just the absolute cornerstone of my love for this brand at the time, even more than the toys, arguably. I think it was the comic first and foremost for me. And so many of these covers are just ingrained in my brain in terms of the iconography, the look of them, everything. I just absolutely love them. So I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to go for one of my favorite covers of all time, first of all, and I think it's this absolute banger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
What to say about this? This is issue 205 of the Marvel UK Transformers comic. A lot of Marvel UK issues, I think there's going to be. But this is incredible. It's the end of Time Wars. And many people, if you've not read Time Wars, you might have heard of Time Wars. It was basically the last great epic of the Marvel UK run. And there had been various big epics like Target 2006 and all of this. But what was notable about this storyline in particular was that it had been built up for years by this point. I mean, Galvatron had returned from the future to present day Earth, and he'd been causing all kinds of chaos for a lot of time by this point. And all of these strands had been building up over time to the point where it was kind of really reaching ahead, and it kind of something needed to happen, and that was Time Wars, where ultimately he ends up teaming up with present day Megatron, or what we think is Megatron at the time, but I won't get into that now. That's a whole other complication.
That's a whole other thing, exactly.
Yeah, but you get Megatron and Galvatron teaming up, and this is the final cover of that epic, and it is Galvatron standing atop a pile of destroyed Autobots and Decepticons, because they're taking on everyone. Yeah. You've got Cyclonus and Scourge in there, destroyed. Yeah. You've got, and that's the
Blur,
the present day iterations of
Rod.
It's just absolutely incredible. Rodimus is done. Power Master Optimus Prime is done.
I love all the random robot parts. So over time, like if you look to the side, you just see like little pulleys and cogs and things, don't you? Like that make no sense, but it's just like let's just draw shapes. They can be bits of robots.
Very much so. The artist for this is Andrew Wildman, of course.
Yeah, and legend.
Also at TFN this year as well. Should take that issue and get it signed.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Well, I remember staring at this as a kid and being fascinated by the detail in the pile there. And of course, as you say, not everything there actually corresponds to an actual character or whatever, but there are random bits like the chest of Bruticus and things like that in there, and like a bit of Predaking and things like that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that just isn't anything.
Do you know what I love about this, though, as well? And keeping in mind how... So for me, I got the UK Transformers comic was delivered by the newsagent every day. So it has my address in the corner. It's written on every issue, yeah? That's how I got it. But I also do remember that you would go around to the newsagent and it would be sitting on the shelf. So these were, their intent for these was to grab the eyes of the kids who go and buy and go, Mum, Dad, I want that. And this issue did exactly that. Even though I had it, I remember going into the shop and seeing it on the shelf, and it immediately just, that yellow just pops. You know?
The yellow's amazing, yeah.
And it's just such a, and you're like, oh, what has happened? It's like such a great kind of just hook to want you to look at it. It's an advert,
isn't it? It really advertises the comic. It's become something of a lost art with comic covers now, because they're not like this. Like
they don't need to
back
do the same work.
Yeah, like now they're all just pieces of art, aren't they? It should be like that aren't relative to what's inside the comic. Whereas back then, it was always like a window into what the comic was about. Sometimes it might be a lie, but it would be
a
like
little bit
Spider-Man shouting something. And
a little bit more abstract now, aren't they? If anything, whereas then, you're right.
They're just random pieces of commissioned art, aren't they? That a lot of the time have zero relevance to the comic. I mean, it's very cool, but these were designed to sell the comics, weren't they? I think more than...
Yeah. I mean, what's notable about this, of course, is that it's a dream sequence, ultimately. Yeah, spoiler alert for
no, which is such a... I was like, I remember when I read it, I was like,
35-year-old
and it was all a dream, you know?
Yeah. But the issue is still pretty epic, fair to say.
Yeah,
but and you're sort of clued into that because by this point in the story, Galvatron is missing half his face, whereas on the cover he is intact. So things like that,
totally.
Sort of a bit of a clue. But still, it's the image of him standing atop this pile of dead Transformers.
And Power Master Prime.
Yeah, and him shouting
with feet.
With feet.
Takara,
don't go like you're gonna get
don't start again.
Traumatic disorder. What is it? PTSD.
PTSD.
That one.
I've not forgotten or forgiven.
I know you haven't, but it's him shouting, "I beat them all." There's just something about it that is just so single track minded and just speaks to this particular character of Galvatron, you know?
The quote as well, like the text, it looks, when I was a kid, I remember the first time I saw it in a newsagent, I remember looking at the text and thinking, oh my God, even the text is on fire, because it looks like it's heat haze because of the way it's wobbling.
Totally, yeah. But, you know, with our Skybound chats that we're doing as well, you know, we talked about it earlier, and it's about how they're using this kind of spray paint style, big font, kind of more kind of cartoony stuff as well. That's what this is doing as well. It's like, you know, that's what I really like about the Skybound and how they're giving a nod back to this kind of stuff that they had there as well.
Yeah. This is going to come in. I mean, you mentioned about the newsagents and stuff. For me, I got the comic delivered to my house. And so it would come through on a particular day of the week. Can't remember what day of the week it was, but I do remember it coming through. And I'm pretty sure I must have known which day of the week it was, because I remember frequently sitting on the bottom of the stairs and kind of waiting for it to arrive. Yeah. And there's another issue later, which we'll come to. But this one, I remember distinctly picking it up for the first time and seeing it and just being like, what? You know, my God.
Yeah.
It was just so exciting. And the feeling has never gone away. And I look at this issue cover now, and it's still that for me.
Yeah,
it's that
wonderful,
iconic.
Yeah, no, totally. Well,
where do you go from there?
You're
gonna mix it up.
I'm going to mix it up. So
it's going to be something in it. It's going to be like a Marvel comic, and it's going to be like, I'm doing something crazy.
Iconic covers.
Be a Ladybird book.
Oh, that would have been good, actually. Iconic covers. But ones that contain a story that had a massive impact for me as well.
Ooh,
and it is this one. Spotlight on Cup. by our good friend Nick Roach.
It is, yeah. Good thing he had time to draw this.
No, exactly. He wasn't on podcast.
He wasn't on podcast then,
yeah. He had all the time.
Too busy.
But, first of all, let's just talk about that image in itself of all these hands reaching out to clawing at Cup, who's battering them away with basically his own kind of mutilated body. It was pretty dark. It's pretty stark. But what I really like about this is what you touched on earlier, Liam, which was quite often at this point we were getting comics that had a really nice piece of artwork on the front, but wasn't reflected inside the actual issue. But this one does, and it's not only beautifully drawn, but this story for me, I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and it from start to finish, it just was a perfect moment of Transformers kind of entertainment for me. Really, really enjoyable.
This issue is, I would say, one of the most important issues of any Transformers comics, because this is where things started to change. This is the really early introduction, because really it's like Wreckers is what Transformers comics became, wasn't it? That set the tone. And this is before that, isn't it?
Totally is. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I'm sure it is, because you see Springer in it, don't you? And he's sending the people in to get Cup.
To try and rescue Cup, yeah. And it's just this delirium. So if you're not aware, I kind of don't want to spoil it as well, because the whole reveal of this is part of the fun of it. So I probably won't go. Yeah, I'm not going to go into the full thing.
I just remember the first time I read it and just being blown away, because it was so different to anything I read. It was really dark, and like when he's talking to the ghost of Outback, who's just like half a dead body. Have you read this, Sixo?
I haven't. Well, I'm debating on that, whether I have or not. I think I haven't read the full thing.
This is why Nick hasn't been on the pod, because he hasn't read it.
Because I haven't read his comic. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you not read this one.
Why would he come on the pod? Do you know what I mean? But, I think I haven't read it, but I have seen bits of it, because I do know the bit about Outback, for example. So that as I've definitely seen that artwork.
So one of my reasons that I wanted to drop this into the conversation today is partly for everyone listening and for people that haven't read this, because you can still get this. You can get it in collected editions. I actually read this. I didn't buy it as the comic. I got it in the collected edition, and I have another copy of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've got the issue.
Have you got the issue as well?
Yeah.
So, I don't actually own that. I would love to get my hands on it, and then I could get Nick to sign that as well. That'd be amazing.
If he's not too busy.
I know, exactly. At TFN he'll have time, unless he's got a microphone in front of him. But it's one of those comics that just really stayed with me, and there's been a few that have done that through my life.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It was really refreshing to get that from Transformers, which at that point I was a bit kind of like, particularly in the comics world, I was kind of drifting from a bit as well. So, and I really enjoyed the spotlights. I really enjoyed what they were doing and how they were expanding the universe and this kind of new generation of people that came into it, that were fans first.
This one stood out so much, and it triggered so many other things later, because it's referred to repeatedly. Like later on, when you see Cup, it's referenced. It's this as to why he's then put into that new body, and then Prowl is sort of controlling him throughout the Wreckers and stuff like that. Yeah. And it becomes like a really important plot point, and it's crazy that it's really the start of so much that we sort of took for granted.
Relates back, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of it, because it's a great standalone piece of work, and it becomes even more because of that later on as well, whether that was intended or not, but just very good writing and a beautiful front cover, I feel as well.
Yeah,
good
absolutely.
Choice. A really unique cover as well. Like there's nothing else like that in Transformers, really.
And especially at this time, I think it's kind of, we've been spoiled over the years with like More Than Meets the Eye, Lost Light, all of these things we've had since Skybound. But you kind of go back to this point and you like remembering you were coming off the escalations and that kind of thing. Then sort of we were going into around all hell Megatron somewhere around here. Where we're at now, it's a different world, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I'm going to come in next, and let's just continue the Mr. Roach loving.
Oh, here we go.
You're really trying to get him on the pod now. Look at this.
Yeah.
Unlike Jason, I am going to step out of G1 here.
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Cool.
Bustin' makes me feel good.
Yeah, nice.
This is a Nick Roach cover for Transformers and Ghostbusters issue 5. And it's specifically Ectotron Prime and the Ghostbusters doing the walk, from the dance from the movie and from the end of the real Ghostbusters.
Look at that. Wonderful. Great. He would have enjoyed every minute of drawing this. You just know it, wouldn't he? He'd been giggling.
He's put Vigo the Carpathian into the background. Exactly. He's one of my favourite villains in anything, and he never appears in anything. But
what's that hat surplus? Is that a self-portrait he's put up there of him at the top? Hat surplus. It's just like, oh, it's great.
The composition of this is incredible. It's really, really very well done, considering that you've got 4 humans in the foreground. You've got 2 robots of completely different sizes, but somehow it all works. City's there in the background. It's clear what's going on.
As well, it's so reminiscent of the cartoon.
Really is.
Oh, it is. That's true.
Very well done, and it's all legible. It's all well presented. Like you get it, even in kind of the small thumbnail that I saw initially when you dropped it in there, Lee. And I've seen this cover many times before, but even there, I was like, actually, it's really a very legible cover considering how much is going on. It's very well done.
Yeah, the reference to Real Ghostbusters, it's brilliant, and I just love the look of everything about it. It's just nice. It's fun. Those toys, they look fantastic in this form. And I love Ghostbusters. Fantastic cover.
Yeah, it's great.
I absolutely love that art of particularly the MP10 GB. It just, I love that. We've done a whole mini-sode on MP10s, and we had a lot of nice things to say about the Ghostbusters MP10, didn't we? And it's really shown off brilliantly here, I think. And Ectotron.
It's fun as well, because there's
loads of fun about this. It's really
everybody's smiling, like even Ectotron, who doesn't have a mouth on the toy. I think he's got a mouth. Even Prime looks like he's smiling. But then if you just look at Venkman, he's got that kind of like eye rolling kind of expression.
Right, grin about him. But totally.
I think from memory, Nick is like me, and we both think Ghostbusters 2 is the best one of those films.
Because
we both have this controversial opinion. So I assume that's why he's shoehorned Vigo in there.
Yeah,
perfectly.
Little nod.
Got him in there.
He has got in the old Stay Puft Marshmallow Man on the left there as well. Going to say, but he's also got in the Statue of Liberty, which might be a 2 nod as well.
Good choice, Liam. Yeah, very cool.
I'm pleased that you mixed it up sufficiently, Liam, and really kind of took us, to a different place.
Is this because you're going to bring us back?
It's really gives me the opportunity to get right back to G1 now.
To what you know.
Yeah, exactly. To the old comfort zone. Good old classic old pair of slippers G1. And I'm going to drop this one into the chat. Here it is.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was close to choosing that one. Yeah.
This one had to be mentioned. Come on. Now, only because I'm not doing it just for me. I'm doing it on behalf of Mr. James Roberts as well, because he's a big fan of this issue. This is Marvel UK 113. It's the one with Rodimus Prime on the front. It's without a doubt one of the most iconic Marvel UK covers of all, I think, because it's been referenced many times since. It's been kind of homaged and recreated in different ways. It's a very simple cover in some respects, because it's literally just a full body shot of Rodimus Prime in a slightly action pose, kind of leaning into the frame, if you like, and he's shouting, "Bring me the head of Galvatron," and that's it. That's your whole context for this issue, and everything that kind of comes from here on after. But what's really kind of, I know I started talking about Time Wars and saying that was the sort of end of this epic. But in many ways, this issue was the start of it in a big way. Like, we'd already had Target 2006 and stuff like that. So we had seen Galvatron coming back from the past. But this was really what kind of kicked off this whole notion of like the future stories blending into the current day and things like this. And it was a mad time. Even as a kid, I was aware of like how epic some of this stuff was. And as an adult, just like learning about everything that the Marvel UK team were kind of doing behind the scenes to kind of pad out the content around what was happening in the US material, and the fact that they kind of made use of these future stories, because seemingly at the time the Marvel US comic was not interested in using these characters. It's just fascinating to me even now. And so it really, this cover represents all of that for me, but it's just such a wonderful image. Jeff Senior, of course, the legend that is Jeff Senior. Rarely have Transformers looked as good as they do in the hands of anybody other than Jeff Senior. I mean, just look at it.
Absolutely. I think so. This was the thing when Jeff Senior started doing the artwork, and he's got an animator's skill to his illustration where he that like you said, that action pose. It's the type of thing that doing photography, you want to be able to recreate that pose, don't you? With like your kind of MP hot rod.
Yeah, and I don't think you could recreate it as well as
off
this.
The ground. Yeah.
You have
to Photoshop it, but again, it has that like kind of power just to hook you in, and I just want to grab that from the screen and read it now. It just is like it's great imagery. It just
I vividly remember it on shelves.
Yeah,
just
same.
one of those when you see the cover, I'm like, I remember it on shelves. It's so strong. Like
you'd have been 5 years old, Liam. How about that?
Yeah. How old would you have been?
5 years old. Actually, I'd have been 5. You'd have been just coming up on 5.
I'd have been quite far away from 5 at this point. Probably 4.
Quite far. A few months to go. Yeah, you got about. Yeah. Well, actually, the cover date on this is 3 days before my 5th birthday.
Oh, that's cool.
So technically, I was 4 as well.
I was 11.
Gosh. So I was really young at this point.
What's weird? God. So I would be the same age as my son is now. That's really weird. Oh God!
I was going to say Jason was at university.
Yeah, studying at that point.
Jason just had his first mortgage approved when this one came out.
Yeah. I will say with this issue, it has one of my least favorite versions of the Transformers logo.
Oh,
okay.
Whoa. The kind of wet one.
Yeah, I've never been as fond of this one because it's like a slightly pared down version of the proper one.
The classic logo.
It's not shiny. Yeah.
Not shiny. It's flat. I like it. I don't mind it, but I see what you're saying.
It always feels like the colouring book version, if you know what I mean. Like that
I quite like the big chunky black line to it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I've never really paid much attention to it because I'm always just looking at horror.
I was going to say,
Rodimus. Yeah.
You will soon, Jason. The longer you're on this podcast, these are the things.
True. I'll be looking at all the different versions of it.
You'll be looking at the barcode and the copyright stamp soon.
Yeah.
Exactly. I already do that. Do you know what I look at? I look at the character that's the top left, because then I know kind of what era I'm in with the UK comic, whether it was like Blaster or it was Optimus Prime or Power Master Optimus Prime or whatever.
I was going to say, you do know it's Optimus Prime. It's not like earlier when it's kind of Warp Thundercracker.
Yeah, and the little animated one where they had the Prime going off the cliff and transforming. That was cool.
Yeah,
32p. This issue cost
amazing. You won't get it for that now.
You can't buy anything for that now. No. I don't think there's anything at all.
No, it's impossible.
My son frequently gets excited when he's got like little coins and things, and he's like, "How much is here?" And I'm like, "It's like 20p." He's like, "What can I buy for that?" And I'm like, "Absolutely all, mate.
Nothing.
Like literally nothing.
Nothing.
It's 14 years of Tories for you. That
not
is,
even a
there
stamp.
you go. Do you know what I mean? That's what it's done for you. Anyway,
used to be 2 Freddos.
Let's not get me started, shall we? Right. So this is a great cover. I think, and someone had to mention it, and I was fearful that neither of you would. So I thought it's got to be me.
I almost did. I'm glad you did.
So now I'm in a dilemma, and I might break the rules slightly here, if that's all right.
It is a Ladybird book, isn't it?
I'm going to drop 2 issues at the same time. I know. Here we go.
It's excess. This guy.
Liam's not going to be a fan of this.
There you go.
Liam's a stickler for the rules.
Okay.
Okay. Hang on. Whoa. What?
So bear with me. So
Cake and eat it here. Come on.
Exactly. So
what's the connection here?
I'll tell you.
First and last.
First and last issues of the UK Transformers comic.
Okay.
And the reason being, so they both had the same. They both had an emotional impact, but at different different levels. So when the comic came out, I was 6, something like that, 5, 6, 6 years old probably. And no, wait a second, maths. Anyway, I was young, and I remember seeing the advert.
Not as young as I was.
But... No, you weren't. I don't think you were there yet. You know,
no one's ever as young as you are.
But I remember
nobody's ever been as young as I was.
So young,
always young. But I remember seeing the advert on TV, which was that G1. The toy style drawing of the characters with Soundwave and Prime fighting, and it's spinning rudimentary towards the screen. And I remember shouting to my mum, and I talked to her about this the other day because I was saying how in September this year, that's the 40th anniversary of when the UK Transformers comic came out. I remember saying, "Mum, I really want this comic. Quick, come through. And she came through, God bless her. She came through and she was like, okay. And she ordered it from the newsagent and I got it. And we were moving. I moved school like 7 times in this time. So I did have some gaps in my collection. Fast forward to when I'm then like in my late teens and that final issue, the final cut comes out with Bludgeon, stunning image in the background. You've got Prime kind of just in the background. There's a silhouette. And the emotional experience I had when the comic came out was one of excitement and anticipation. And that final one was of sadness, to be completely honest. It was finishing. And I knew it was finishing. And the feeling of it, but also seeing that image and the excitement that I had came back for that final read that I knew I wanted to enjoy this. And I'm an adult at this point, basically. I think I was like 18, 19, and I distinctly remember getting it. And I covet both the same in the fact that it has become such an important part of my life, but also it defined a lot of my life as well. Because part of the story for me was like Jeff Senior was my inspiration to go to animation and start studying and all that kind of stuff. And these comic covers did that for me. They went through, but it was that so nice progression from drawing the toys to what it was in the early days to then proper kind of beautiful pieces of artwork that were in the actual comics that were through a huge part of my life. It was amazing. And for a comic to run for 332 issues, in the UK, pretty, that was rare. That was rare incredible, in the UK.
To say. Yeah, and even beyond that, I mean, what are we talking? It was 8 years by this point that it was still going.
Yeah.
So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. It's justified the double inclusion, I think. So.
Yeah, slightly cheating.
I'll allow it, Jason.
Yeah, thank you.
One time.
Appreciate you.
It's good. Liam's such a stickler for these rules,
That was my.
I have to say, I did nearly consider including issue 332 as well because it's obviously it's landmark issue.
Yeah.
The final issue of the UK comic, and the cover is just exceptional. I don't remember getting the first issue. I was too young, but I do remember getting the last issue because for me, I was just coming up about 10 at that point. Just before my 10th birthday. And so that hit exactly the right time for me. And I remember reading this issue over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Just literally just so many times. And that image of Bludgeon, I think, is pretty cemented in there, isn't it?
Do you know what's also worth mentioning? Between issue 1 and the final issue, we got barcodes. We didn't have barcodes before that. So they appeared. Before that, it was literally just like, it cost this much, and that was it. And then suddenly we had
very different style. 8 years on, absolutely. Yeah, cool. The issue 1, the Jerry Paris cover with Optimus and Soundwave is sort of timeless to me in a way. There's just something about it which is so like it looks very 80s, but it's also kind of got that sort of timeless classic quality to it that it could be drawn now and it would look just as good.
Yeah, totally.
It's just wonderful.
So obviously, I was too young when this version of the comic came out. So this issue 1, but when I got it was. Do you remember they released it as an annual Transformers: The Complete Works, which they didn't do the Complete Works after Transformers. I think they did like 1 or 2 of them. But I remember getting that, and this was the cover, but it was like a updated version of it, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
I always just remember being like wowed by it. But as everyone's picking Marvel, and I've still got a couple of those. I'm going to pick a different era of Transformers.
Ooh. Hey, Dreamwave.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was the one of the variant covers for the first issue.
Is it though? Kind of is. Yeah, I guess it is. We've said we'll have that chat at some other point, won't we?
Yeah, exactly. But so this is the one with Optimus and Bumblebee, and it's a cool cover, and it is the classic Dreamwave, very puffy Optimus Prime.
Yeah. Puffimus.
But
Puffimus.
Again, like Jason's pick of Spotlight Cup, it's what this comic represents and the time of it. Like I remember,
that's fair.
I was always in comics shops anyway, but when I saw this for the first time, it was a whoa,
exciting.
Hello, guys.
Totally.
Because we hadn't seen G1 Transformers in 2001, I think, is it? So it would have been what, like 9 years, 8 years, something like that.
It'd have been a while, certainly. Yeah,
it was a good 10 years actually, because G2, and then it was a big gap. Yeah.
Well, it had been a load of animals in that time, hadn't it, Liam? Gosh.
And these machines that were beasts.
Yeah. It's terrible.
And we're so used to this stuff now. We're seeing G1 and people going, "Oh, it's too much G1," but we hadn't at this point, and it was like a real pop culture moment, because this was the starting gun being fired on all of these things, like G.I. Joe coming back, Thundercats, He-Man, all these things, because they had faded away, and it was the success of this comic, because it was number one in the comics charts, and at that time that was huge volumes of comics, wasn't it? It was moving like 250,000 copies or something like that, maybe more. It was huge numbers.
I think it's hard to now appreciate the impact of this comic at the time and how big it was, because a lot of Dreamwave sort of discourse around it has sort of faded into obscurity, isn't it? Because it's like, I swear there are people now that probably don't even know this exists, or kind of realize what a thing it was at the time, because there's still a lot of Marvel discourse. There's still a lot of, obviously, IDW, it's much more recent chat. And that was such a thing for such a long time. It's almost like Dreamwave kind of has just blipped out of people's minds, as like a thing that actually happened. David Willis was sharing some art from Dreamwave online recently. Many people know David. He's, very well-known fandom member, contributes to various things. He's, a very good artist as well. But he was talking about Dreamwave. And it was so funny seeing people appreciating this art for the first time, and really a lot of people obviously were looking at it going like, what the hell is that? It looks dreadful. And I think I even posted something about it saying, yeah, it does, but it's also, it's hard to appreciate this, but there was a definite point where everybody thought this was it. They thought this was amazing. And I'm not making that up now. Like, there was a definite popular opinion at the time that this was the tits, this art.
Yeah, and it was very much of its time. They did, they absolutely did. And I think it was because it was this very clean, very stylized version of known kind of brands.
Yes,
so it changed visually. It changed it. And it's just like, even the way that they designed this cover, because normally the artist names were either not there inside the front cover, or they were blatantly there as signed bits, but they've hidden it on the poster at the bottom left. The art's down there. They made it part of a composition, and they focused in on the kind of still kind of stoic poses and stuff like that. And as you said, Liam, they were puffy prime. It was just like, it's proportionally just really odd. And really unusual.
Bizarre.
But it is of that time, isn't it? When anime was being like when they did imported over, like wholesale, like Fox Kids was just doing everything like that, and comics were all starting to use this sort of style. It's very sort of anime look to everything, and like at the time, this was so new and so fresh. And people talk about like the 2007 movie, and we always talk about what that did, the shot in the arm, that game to Transformers. This did it first.
It did.
Without this, I don't think anyone would have seen that interest being revived in all of these things like that came back. And I think it was the success of this that triggered so much of that and let companies sort of into the fact that there was this collector base for these things. Because we started getting the reissues, wasn't it? Were coming with art from this on it as well.
I was just going to say that. Right. Yeah, I think there's a direct link with that. The book box reissues and whatever that. Of course, featured this art on literally on the toy boxes and everything. I mean, it was everywhere, this art. People were just clamoring for it, I remember there was the classic picture of, the white Prime Magnus breaking out of the armor and that kind of stuff, which is still pretty cool today. Assuming this is Pat Lee's art, of course, because there's never any actual guarantee of that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there was a whole controversy behind this that people can look up. Yeah.
We'll do a Dreamwave episode, but do you know how it started? Do you know how they got the license?
I forget now. I'm sure I have heard this, but go on.
It was Pat Lee drew an image. I'm sure it's Pat Lee of the Autobots and Decepticons for. Was it Previews or Wizard magazine? One of those, just like a image, and he used it as a pitch to get the license, and that's where it came from. And you think, like, if he'd not done that, like, what would the landscape of things look like now? Because we're so surged with Turtles, everything like that, and you like, it's just kind of crazy to think like. this was like the starting gun for it all, and it's forgotten, and the people who remember it, for a lot of them, it's a joke. There's another Dave Wallace, of TFN, and me and him always joke about we should one day do a panel on Dreamwave, because we are both fans, and it's like I can read it objectively and say it's not very good. There are this and this, but then there are other parts that I loved, and I remember being devastated when it was cancelled because it's just we were seeing things. They brought back the Micromasters, and it was things you'd never really seen, and it was just this really interesting concepts and different stuff.
There was a lot of amazing art. Well, there was a lot of art doing the rounds.
That's the truth.
But there was a lot of art. Certain examples that are constantly brought up, and that's fair. Yeah. But if you go through any comic book publisher, if you go through IDW stuff, sometimes you can pick out examples of like, that's not great. This is terrible. But there's a lot of Dreamwave stuff that was also quite good.
Yes, I think the issue for me around this was, well, except for what happened to Dreamwave and the kind of the mess at the end, it was more about the art than it was about the content. That was the problem for me.
Absolutely.
Very fair. Very fair. Yeah, but this, more than any other issue that we've looked at tonight so far, this is like a real moment in time, isn't it? This is like you had to be there for this. Like, you can look at a lot of the Marvel covers that are older than this, and I would think, and I'm taking my nostalgia goggles off for a second, but I think you can still look at like that Rodimus cover even after all these years and go, yeah, that's cool. I can see why that's cool.
Even the issue 1 UK comic.
Yeah, I would think so.
That's without my nostalgia. I just think that's a cool image of 2 big robots.
The Dreamwave one, you had to be there. You had to be in the moment.
This is like the Thundercat signal being shone into the sky for a lot of people. This is like the amount of people that saw this and were brought back into a fandom.
That's it.
Like that's for so many people. This is that moment where they saw it and went, "Oh my god, I love Transformers as a kid," and
I'll buy that.
Picked up the book, and then it begins from there. Their interest in the brand kicks back in as adults, and it starts here, and it doesn't get the recognition I think it deserves for that.
No. Well, I think it's worth putting into context that this was outselling Marvel and DC titles at this point. It was the
number one comic.
Exactly. Yeah, and that is, to put it into context, that is huge for Transformers. I mean, that is like unprecedented, and Skybound is breaking records again now. But that is hard to replicate levels of success that showed that there was this real turning point in the early 2000s where actually Transformers was kind of coming back into the public zeitgeist a little bit, and it was kind of it was reaching levels. It was kind of touching people that it hadn't done
there was
either previously or it was bringing people back.
Yeah, totally. Great choice, Liam.
God, we need to do an episode on Dreamwave.
Definitely. We will come back to that, absolutely. Maybe get Nick Roach on for it.
He's too busy doing other podcasts.
I forget. I always forget. Damn him. Honestly.
Well, maybe we'll have to get him on after this sponsor segment.
Maybe.
Imagine that would be brilliant. If he was all this time he's been sitting and waiting.
He's just in the corner of the room, just like, all right, you
Gav's hot tub.
Yeah, exactly. Hate you guys.
The Transformers will return after these messages.
Right, well, it's that time for the part of the pod where we talk about our sponsor, and that is, as ever, tfsource.com for all your Transformers and third-party needs. So we're going to do what we always do, which is check out their site and just see what's in stock and available for pre-order right now, and basically choose an item and talk about it a little bit, because that's kind of fun, isn't it? And there's lots of new toys on there at the moment, plenty catching our eye, like Missing Link Bumblebee and Cliff Jumper.
Oh, yeah, very nice.
We're never going to fit that into this segment if we talk about that. Yeah, that's a whole other chat. But yeah, tonight instead, we're going to keep it legacy focused, and we have in the spotlight Robots in Disguise 2001 Universe Autobot Sideburn. There's more words in there, and that
many more words, isn't there?
Yeah, many more words. I streamlined it a little bit. So, but yeah, this is Sideburn. It's RID Sideburn, and it's got a new legacy toy. What do you guys think?
I really like it, actually. I really like this original. I really like this original toy.
You don't have to say actually, Jason. You can really just like it.
I thought you were going to bring out your big hater energy.
Yeah, I know, big hater energy there.
The vibes.
He's got look at the
destroy it.
Color of that plastic is not off white or anything. That's nice. No, he's got it's the robot mode. I'm really enjoying that robot mode.
Okay,
yeah,
it's definitely the star of the show, the robot mode. I think in this case, isn't it?
Yeah, which is why I said actually.
Right.
Because the alt mode is the alt mode, isn't it? So I'm going to keep it in robot mode. Let's be honest.
Are you going to get this guy? Are you?
Yeah, I think I would have to because I've got the original. So it's one of those things where I was like, I'd quite like them both next to each other.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
For sure.
Lovely head sculpt as well, isn't it?
Yeah, really good head sculpt. Yeah.
I think the robot mode has come out about as well as it probably could have in this kind of iteration of Generations, isn't it? Like, this is kind of what you would expect it to look like. It's really good.
I must admit, the funny thing for me about this figure is that obviously there've been a lot of chat about the fact that it's there's a pre-tool with was it Shadow Striker?
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been kind of like worried about what this was going to look like, and like because to what extent are they going to retool it into Sideburn, even though it was quite clear that it was sort of gearing up to be a fairly straight kind of repaint with some retooled elements. Like
it was his body with a different head.
Yeah, exactly. So then when it was revealed, and I feel like a lot of people really lost their shit with this one, to be honest. And I was sort of sitting on the sideline watching it all happen, just a bit like, yeah, I mean, you don't have to like it, but at the same time, it pretty much looks exactly like what I thought it was going to look like based on the toy that we've already seen. Like, it doesn't do anything different to exactly what you could have digibashed this and it would have looked like this. Yeah. And I think people did do that and it looked like this. So it's not shocking.
It's what they wanted and what it turned out wasn't that.
This is what I expected.
Exactly. And I've seen people like lamenting the fact that it's not a licensed Dodge Viper and things like this. And I'm like, it was never going to be that. That already exists. That toy, and again, I posted this recently online, but that toy is still out there from 2000, 2001, and can I say, is still plentifully available. Like, you can still buy it sealed for like 30 quid or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not a hard or rare toy to find. So
it's wild to think the vintage version will be about the same price.
Yeah,
as this.
Not much more.
Totally.
Not much more anyway, certainly. And I had that proven because I tweeted about it and people did actually go and buy it and then came back to me and said, yeah, you were right, I got it for X price or whatever.
I love the original toy. This is like the robot mode is cool. I'm not so keen on the car mode, but that's just because I think so much of what makes those RID cars are those car modes, aren't they? Like the Viper in particular is so spot on, and it is that almost pre-Binal Tech era kind of like, it's a real car that turns into a robot, and they were figuring it out, and it's exciting. The engineering is so complex and horrible to transform at times.
Yeah.
But it's exciting because it was unique, new, different, and they're trying something else. This is very much what you expect. And
this is functional.
Fine.
It's a functional thing. I mean, that original car was what led on to Binal Tech. It was because they had the relationship with Dodge. After the fact, after it had been made, but that's by the by, and that led on to Binal Tech. Whereas this is a different era; it's not going to be the same thing, and I don't think it needs to be.
It'd be a shame if it was, because that already exists, isn't it? It's like, why just remake the same thing? And I don't think there's anything they could do with Sideburn to make him better, because it's very specific what that toy turns into and what it's meant to be. It looks like the cartoon looks like it already. There's nothing they could do to better it. The only thing they could do is do something different. And that's what they've done. And that's good, because I think this at least will be far more fun to transform.
Yeah. I actually do quite enjoy transforming the original, I must admit. But I didn't at the time, but I do now. I've come to like it over the years.
I still get stuck. Always in the same places. All these years later, I'm still like,
flipping his arms around.
The arms,
There's a very specific motion to it.
Yeah, I quite enjoy it. I tell you what is missing on this figure for me is from the original is that like you take the bumper off and it becomes like a rudimentary shield.
No, it does that.
No,
does it?
So does it?
Oh, does it do that?
Yeah.
Has he got his exhaust pipe as a kind of lance type weapon as well?
As the big missile and everything. No, I don't think it does that. But it definitely, the bumper comes off and becomes the gun.
It's one of the pictures. It's on the gun.
Yeah,
that's cool. So because I really like that about those figures. Just the kind of the play value of it more than anything else.
It's just nice to see the character again, isn't it?
Exactly that. Exactly.
I really like that head sculpt. It gives me a bit of Borg vibes with this one, because it is a lot. The original did as well. A lot of greebly bits.
But again, nice. I saw people photoshopping the head sculpt. Kind of altering the proportions of it and whatever else. And the thing is with that is that people blow it up to such a large size. So you're looking at it on a screen where it's, I mean, literally 10 times the size of the actual physical head sculpt of the toy that you're going to get in hand. So, of course, when you magnify this stuff like that, it's going to have perceived, things that you could change or whatever. But I just think this is one of it's a $25 toy. Like, I'm not saying it shouldn't be, people shouldn't be happy with it. And I'm not saying people should just, consume and move on. But I don't know. It didn't spark outrage in me at all, and that's someone that is like a major fan of the original. I just think it looks good. The robot mode looks good. The car mode is what it is, and that's fine.
I wish they'd have done more with the flames. I think that's one area I'd look at and say
subtle.
Like the ones on the side of the door, you almost can't see them.
I've just done the zoom in. All right, they're really pale, aren't they?
Yeah,
maybe we could have done with a little outline or something around the flames. That might have brought them out a little bit.
That's what
like
the other one had,
original.
didn't it? The vintage has a white outline, and it
does.
really makes it pop.
Looks good. It's what you said though, Liam. For me, is that I think it's just great that this character is getting a new toy. It's it's not the second ever. I was going to say it's the second ever toy of this character, and someone will say
technically it's the second coming of the Sideburns.
It's the second toy of the classic iteration of Sideburn, if you like,
not including the club version.
Yeah, there was the club one, the blue hot rod. There's been the Spy Changer, but this is the second version of that classic design, if you like, of the kind of cartoon original design. And I think it looks good. It's just great to see him back again. So, and it's not going to be to everyone's tastes, and I do understand why some people are a little bit disappointed with this because it's not a licensed Dodge Viper and things like that. But
also, they don't have to buy it. So
well, there is that,
and it's $25. So there we go.
I would normally say that, but after the whole Jim Ride debacle, I feel like I can't say that at the minute. But what is cool, and I think what people don't really appreciate here, is they've even gone to lengths of giving him the clear plastic bit over one eye.
That's the bit I'm focusing on. That's really nice. Yeah,
for sure.
I was surprised they did that because it's not something they normally do, those kind of little flourishes anymore. So it was really nice to see them do it.
It looks like they've taken the head sculpt off the original for a minute. Like if you're just glancing at it, it's a little bit different, but it really does. So I was going to say, Jason, it's an interesting strategy to say you don't have to buy it in our sponsor segment, but
please buy it.
I guess that's how we roll.
You don't have to buy it from any other place except TF.
Yeah, right, exactly. That. Yeah, you go.
I just didn't finish my sentence.
Right, sure. Yeah, get yours now.
Go.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, look, I mean, in all seriousness, it's not going to be for everyone, and that's fine. That's okay. The world keeps turning, doesn't it, at the end of the day? So, but I think it looks good. Sounds like you chaps do too.
Yeah,
if you are interested, it is available at tfsource.com.
Go and buy it.
I've got many, many more toys besides. You don't have to buy it, but you can do if you want to.
From tfsource.com.
Yeah, exactly. Go check them out for all your Transformers and third-party needs.
We now return to the Transformers.
Okay, well, we're back at it again with comic covers, and we just had a little bit of off-pod debate there about who was going next, and it turns out it's me because I haven't done my
third
choice one yet. Yeah, exactly. No. So, I mean, look, what could it be? So many.
Is it going to be
so many years of Transformers comics to choose from? Eras. It's a difficult one.
It'd be funny if it's my last choice. That'd be good.
That would be funny, wouldn't it? That would be funny. No. There's a lot of Marvel UK options. Might surprise you though, because I'm going to go with this.
Oh, Skybound. Oh, that's a good. Yeah. Perfect.
Skybound, and it's Skybound Transformers issue 5, the cover to issue 5. And I thought, should I include something from IDW? Should I include something? And there was a couple from IDW that I nearly picked. And then I hit on this, and because it's so new, I wanted to talk about this because I thought maybe no one else will pick something from Skybound.
Yeah.
And of the comic covers, they've had some amazing covers so far, and obviously they've been pumping them out, loads of variants, loads of amazing artists. They've just brought back Alex Milne. I don't know if you saw, has done a couple of covers for them and things like this as well, which is really cool. But this, to me, I mean, it's Daniel Warren Johnson. It's just something about this image that is just so haunting and so instantly capturing. It really kind of draws you in. And so, of course, this is the Megatron fusion cannon with Optimus kind of reaching out towards it and his face reflected in the cannon. and it's kind of on a sea of guns and bullets, and I just love all of that detail. I just think the iconography here is incredible. I love that it kind of has a message for what's going on in the comic, though, as well. This kind of choice for Prime to pick this up as his weapon, spoiler alert, and kind of use it. It's all there in that image for me. So I think it's just really, really well done.
As you said, it's a really haunting image. Just remember we talked about this before, about Prime's eye shape and with his kind of faceplate and how expressive that can make him. And it's such a simple kind of illustration technique to bring emotion to a character. And it's like that, you get such an idea of what he's feeling as his arms reaching out towards this kind of a combination of like trepidation and fear.
Exactly.
And just, I actually didn't make the connect that was bullets and guns that the fusion cannon was on as well until you said it.
Which I like that because it's clearly not anything realistic. It almost has this sort of like dreamlike state to it, where Prime is imagining this more than it's actual. Like, it's not a real moment from the inside of the story at all. It's what we were saying before. It's more kind of evocative of an idea than it is representative of a particular scene. Yeah. And if anything, to me, it enhances the story itself because it sort of gives that flavor to what's going on in Prime's head more than is sort of actually explored in any great depth within the issue itself. And I like that. And I think that the bullets all over the floor add that sort of dreamlike quality to it for me, in that this is sort of Prime imagining this path, that he's taking by picking up this weapon and this sort of like world of death almost and violence. And it's very, very haunting, evocative cover, and it works superbly well.
It does. Yeah.
Must have taken bloody ages to draw them guns.
Photoshop.
Can I imagine?
The stamp tool. Quote tool. That's all you do all the way through.
Definitely don't think it was. But it's a lot of detail in there because you can tell there's some bits where it's kind of almost just like hatching, but there's a lot of detail in there as well. It looks very purposeful and it's superbly well done, honestly. I love it.
There's something, you're right, like the way it just conveys that message of sort of escalation of more war, doesn't it? Like, as if Prime is looking at it thinking, if I pick it up, it's just escalating, isn't it? More and more and more.
What does this mean for me? It's just the way he's seeing his own face reflected back. And as you say, it's that expression, which, for someone with half his face covered by a mouth plate is quite something. But it's great. Super.
It's just what it is, isn't it? He's seeing himself in the gun, like, is this who I am now?
Yeah, what's his future self going to be? We kind of talked about that in the Skybound miniseries as well, haven't we?
Yeah. Go listen to that if you're not already. Get on our Patreon.
Yeah.
Patreon.com. Go over.
Patreon.com/Triple Takeover. Yeah. So back to you then, Jason.
Okay, my final choice then here, and I'm
mixing
it
up
straight back to what I love.
Yeah.
And I'm going for a classic Jeff Senior issue 117 Marvel UK, The Good, the Mad, and the Ugly. And many reasons that I love this. Partly, as I said, Jeff Senior and as an artist and illustrator that I really respect and I love his work, but also these three characters, particularly Deathshead, who is one of my favorite comic characters ever, and the series that came out of it. But this was kind of what the comic was for me, the Marvel UK comics, like what you were talking about earlier, that they did these kind of mini series whilst they were waiting for the US comic to kind of get a bit ahead. They'd make these individual stories, and you get great characters like Deathshead that would come out of this, and obviously a nod to the good, the bad, and the ugly in this as well. But it's just such a strong character base. It is, yeah. It is. It's based on a movie.
I never got that.
You might not be aware of.
No, sure.
You weren't born.
Say what?
Yeah. Liam wasn't even born when this issue came out, so
no.
Too young.
I'm still too young now.
Right. Oh my God, I've just noticed the colouring mistake.
On?
Am I going to ruin this for you if I
don't ruin it for me. Oh, no.
Do you want me to point it out?
Yeah, do it. Go on. Yeah.
And Rodimus. I was looking at Rodimus. I was like, what's going on with Rodimus? I've never noticed it before, ever. And I've looked at this comic like a million times.
Let me see if I can see it. Rodimus.
Look at his
He looks
chest.
like he's wearing a little orange apron. I like that.
Yeah, exactly that. I was like,
his little pants.
Well, initially I thought it was the pants, but it's actually the chest around the flame decal, because the flame decal is obviously orange, and the rest of the chest should be red, but it's not.
Yeah. Oh, we need to give feedback now. Who coloured it?
Get a tweet at Jess Senior just saying, "Can I just correct you on your
Excuse
cover?
me? We've just
cover
noticed.
date 13th of June 1987."
Yeah, exactly.
I think you might want to take a look at that. Yeah, it's a wonderful cover.
Yeah, it's like what did my partner say to me earlier though? She said that she wanted me to mention this. She's like, "Who's the guy who looks like Thanos in a green gilet?" I was just like, that's like an iconic character.
He's wearing a gilet, isn't he?
He is wearing a gilet, exactly.
How does he look like Thanos?
Well, I think just he was big, muscly, kind of slightly
right.
guy. You know,
Got you.
Ignore his face and stuff like that.
Yeah,
yeah. Look at it's great to see all three of those characters on the front of a comic as well, because you're immediately just like, what's going on here? You know, and it's just
Well, this was only 4 issues after my choice, of course. This was all sort of the same.
Yeah.
You know, that era was, they were just absolutely cooking with gas at this point
in terms
of this storyline.
Exactly. And you know what, for me, it's what you said earlier, Liam. These are the types of covers that I would happily put on my wall as a poster, you know, as a piece of artwork. They're just so great. It's just like brilliant. Yeah, there's so much life, so much action in that. It's superb.
Jeff Senior, no one else does Galvatron like Jeff Senior. Like, and Rodimus, I would say, really. Yeah, but his Galvatron, and I know he loves drawing Galvatron, and he's talked about that before publicly, you know, and he's just incredible. There's a sort of kinetic energy to the way he draws Galvatron that just has this physical presence, this kind of ever ready menace about him, and it's really conveyed there. Yeah, very much so. Even more than Megatron. And all the kind of sharp edges and everything, and the kind of blocky design to it. It's really, really, really good. Of course, this has the wet logo. Liam, you won't like that so much.
Yeah,
it does have the wet logo. It's true.
Just it looks like the one that you would see in sort of colouring books or other ancillary merchandise. You know, like it's official, but it's not quite right. God, I am struggling to pick my next one. I've got 2.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Decisions.
There's one that. Which
this is it now, Liam. This is the last one. So this is you know, you ride or die on this one.
I've got to make it count, and I think it's got to be this one.
Yes. Christmas time.
Yeah,
Transformers Marvel UK issue 250 from Christmas 1989.
What a time!
That. How did Omega Supreme fit in that? Hey, you know.
Don't question it.
This cover is again one of my favorite ever. Like, it's just amazing because the more you look at it, it's not just the character choices, which are excellent. It's how British a Christmas it looks like.
It totally
like
very much.
You feel it. Like you feel that time, like sort of late on a Christmas night when all your family and stuff, and people are tired, the party's dying down, everyone's sort of sat around, and this is what it was like, wasn't it? It looks like Christmas felt, and there's so many little touches, like the Micromasters, and there's the one with the magnet at the bottom with the bowl of nuts,
stealing the nuts. Yeah. There's a Decepticon as well. Yeah.
Bumblebee playing with Bumblebee. You know,
Bumblebee playing with himself. Yeah. Disgusting.
Prime is looking. He's got red eyes. He's looking a little bit inebriated there as well, isn't he, with his cocktail? It's
exactly. Yeah. It's so British. They're all sat on the sofa. There's like a bowl of nuts. You can see in the background there's a little mantelpiece with the Christmas cards up, and then on that little rope on the wall like you would have at home. Yeah. It's just something brilliant. And Grimlock there next to
shaking his fist.
Like, you know, because obviously they do the letters pages, don't they? So it's kind of fun. It just seems like Blaster and so on. But Mega Supreme being there is always hilarious. But it just feels like Christmas. It's one of them things where you see it and you can feel the Christmas of it, if that makes sense. It's just that. Really
100%. I'm not surprised you picked a Christmas cover at all. No. I know your love for all things Christmas. So
that's great.
Mr. Yuletide over here.
I only just noticed there's another Micromaster's legs sticking out the tree. I've never noticed that before.
Yeah, totally. I was thinking that as well.
Purple and blue car of them with the Decepticon. Is it the Racetrack Patrol? Is it?
No, Sports Car Patrol.
Sports Car Patrol.
Yeah.
It's him. The more you look, there's just like little tiny things like that. Like the one on top with the
with the angel.
Is that Jesus?
Yeah, it looks like Jesus, doesn't it? Yeah, it's like Jesus and angel. Yeah,
but
totally.
It's the soft colours, like the
it's like watercolor.
Yeah, it really feels like Christmas of a time. There are certain things that can just transport you to an era or time, and this is one of those things that does that more than any other Transformers cover. It's just it makes me feel that warmth of an 80s Christmas.
It's also it's funny as well because we've got like Powermaster Optimus Prime there, and then we've got Jazz, we've got Grimlock, Omega Supreme with a little kind of just slight hint of his face behind the faceplate there as well.
They are listening to Mud. It's going to be lonely this Christmas. It'll be lonely this Christmas.
Exactly.
That's on in the background. All these things. It's just playing all that. Shaking Stevens. That's probably what's on.
Absolutely.
I think more than anything, though, it's just fun, isn't it? This cover. It's just it's a beautiful cover anyway. It's well drawn. It's well composed. It's memorable. I certainly remember it very vividly. But it is just fun. And I think so many of the covers were quite grim and gritty, actually, from Marvel UK, but there were some that were really good fun as well. So, and this is another Andy Wildman one, of course, and really well done.
I would love this. Every Christmas, I change my Facebook banner to this or all of those things, and it's just really nice, really warm. Just feels like Christmas, and I think it's the last Christmas one they did, wasn't it?
I think that's probably right.
Christmas themed one because it has the story. I can't remember what the story is called off the top of my head, but it's the one where is it Longtooth gives him like a little matrix, a piece of a matrix, a shard, and he basically ends up sending it into space and turning it into rain, doesn't he? That's
right.
It's got the Marvel US story. I can't remember which one that was running in it, but then I think it's got the black and white backup of that.
Yeah,
it's been so long since I've read it, but I'm sure that's what's going on.
I'll dig it out. I've got it.
One to look up again, certainly. But cool. Very, very memorable one and a great choice for sure.
There's a little wine bottle on the floor. There's all these little touches, and you just feel it. It's really good. Great, brilliant, fantastic cover.
You're gonna have to finish on a high then, Sixo.
I really am, aren't I? And I'm kind of feeling the pressure now a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't know. I had a choice in mind, and I'm kind of looking at it again, like, but is this iconic enough, for the final choice of the night? I'm not sure it is,
but there's so many. I think that's the thing, isn't there?
Yeah, of course. And this is definitely something, before we do finish, this is something that I absolutely would like to revisit again in the future.
Me too. This is good fun.
We've got a lot of topics now where we're like, we should come back and do this, and then it's we're still going to do bloody Beast Wars Second Maximals at some point.
That's true.
Yeah. So there's a lot that we need to revisit. Kind of feeling like I need to throw this one in, and it's not what I was going to choose, but I think considering the kind of journey we've gone on and kind of where we're at in this conversation, I think it's got to be this one.
Well, so I was going to say, if we didn't cover that one, I would be flabbergasted.
Exactly. And look, I almost let it go. I almost thought, hey, maybe I just won't do it, but I kind of feel like it needs to. Yeah.
And you went with the UK version.
I went with the UK version. So this is UK issue number 22. But, I mean, everybody will know this cover because it was out in the US as well. It's the Shockwave Transformers Are All Dead cover.
Yeah.
And it's become iconic. I mean, I used the word iconic earlier, but I know people will sort of quibble the use of the word iconic on some things, but this is properly iconic, I think. This is like, this transcends Transformers in so many ways.
Just look at him. He looks amazing in that image. Just looks absolutely stunning.
It's a really distinct vibe to this cover. There's so much to say about it. Of course, this was drawn by Mark Bright, and in many ways, this is what sort of inspired me to... Mark Bright, yeah.
Didn't he used to play for Chelsea?
He definitely did not, as far as I'm aware.
I'm sure he played for like Oldham and Chelsea. It's a different Mark Bright.
There could be more than one Mark Bright.
Yeah, there could be more than one Mark Bright.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Mark and Bright, not uncommon names. But he's often known as MD Bright. He's a very well-known Marvel artist. He did a lot of work on like Iron Man and Armor Wars and stuff like that. But he just recently passed away, sadly, in March of this year. So literally just like 2 months ago or whatever. And it's a real shame. I mean, it didn't do a lot for Transformers, actually, just like a handful of issues. Some of the other classic Marvel ones from this sort of era and then randomly Spotlight Nightbeat as well for IDW, really randomly. It just did like 4 covers or something, but this is his most famous one by any description.
Country Mile, yeah.
Yeah,
do you know what I love about this as well is that, so again, keeping in mind the time when this was made and how they had to put it together, is Warrior Robots in Disguise is on top of his arm, and the F of Formers is underneath him. And just that kind of positioning him in a kind of 3-dimensional space.
Yeah,
just there's a real depth to this that, and they've really, that they've designed it as well as.
It does like the top of the toy boxes, doesn't it? As they really just
does.
It always makes me sad that, like, because of my age, like I don't remember this font for the comic. For me, it's the next one, where it is just the logo.
So young.
And whenever I see these very early ones, I'm like, oh god, I would have loved to have.
Well, there was the 2 versions, because there was the Autobot one and then this Decepticon one as well.
Yeah,
and it was like it was that first kind of 38 issues that had that, and very of its time. And even at the bottom left, the Autobot logo non-functional, as well. Just great, just a great again.
Yeah,
that
tremendous.
As it is, including that Marvel Win Tell a Tale Transformers packs inside. Happily have that on the wall as a massive poster.
This
superb.
This is art I would frame for sure. The 2 things I want to say about this cover and this artwork. Firstly, it's hilarious that every time, or a lot of times anyway, when you see people, repost this or reshare this, they often crop the comic title off the top. Particularly on the American version, it's a lot more. It's a lot easier to do that, because on the UK version, Shockwave's head is kind of overlapping the title a little bit, but on the US version, it's not. And a lot of people crop it, so you just get "Are All Dead." And the number of people that I've seen that take that completely out of context, and they're like, what does he mean, "Are all dead"? Like, shouldn't it have a question mark? Is it a question? Like, what's going on there? And it's like, no, you need the full cover. The Transformers, the Transformers are all dead. And it's, talking about what's happening in the story, because they are literally all dead at this point. Shockwave has killed everybody, or deactivated them at least.
The colours are a little darker on this version, aren't they?
Yeah,
the US version.
Definitely.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
But the number of times that I see it being shared and sort of taken out of context is just hilarious. And the other thing about this is that I would say more than any other cover, it's influenced my approach to toy photography, in that I cannot take a picture of a Shockwave toy and not end up putting it in this pose. Like, I mean, you're talking G1, Masterpiece, Vinyl Tech, doesn't matter what it is, it's going in this pose, in this kind of walking pose.
But it's one of the few poses the toy can actually do, isn't it?
That's what I was going to say. Totally. Yeah. Exactly. It is like the G1 toy can do that pose. It absolutely can.
That's the thing. And the Masterpiece does it beautifully as well. Like, really, really good.
Yeah.
It's a sort of really natural Shockwave stance. That's the thing. And Mark Bright clearly did this with the toy in hand.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Because you can see the reflections, and there's probably something on his desk that was creating that reflection of the darkness in his leg and something like that, and he's put that into the artwork as well. I don't know who inked this, because that's the other thing about this. It is beautifully inked. It has that luster that the toy has, and that kind of blue purple effect that goes on, when he's lit from a certain angle.
It's just credited to Mark Bright, so I'm not
entire his work.
He maybe did the whole thing, as far as I'm aware. Here's another version of it. This is the one without all the kind of gumph and everything. Yeah. This is the American version, but without all the sort of additional bit, if you like. Yeah. And it's got a slightly different quality to it. The kind of render for the UK version is a little bit less crisp, but it not in a bad way. Like, it just has a different quality to it, I think. It's almost a bit more like a painting.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of Mark Bright, there he is, old Sheffield Wednesday.
You're posting pictures of footballers in the chat. What are you doing?
That's Mark Bright. That's when he played for Sheffield Wednesday.
Definitely
this is not a front cover of a comic.
So you don't think Mark Bright here was the same artist, and the Alan Davis who did the Transformers 100 cover was not Jonathan Creek?
Pretty sure not. Yeah, pretty sure.
Okay.
He's determined to take us off topic with his football nonsense, isn't he? Unbelievable.
Well, now I want to know if Mark Bright had a secret career as a Transformers comic book artist in the early 80s.
Well, this Mark Bright did. Yeah, not so secret, but definitely not your Mark Bright.
How do you know?
Yeah, I'm sure he's lovely playing for Sheffield Hotspurs or whatever they're called.
Sheffield Hotspurs.
Tottenham Wanderers, I don't know.
Sheffield Wednesday and Crystal Palace.
Yeah, whatever.
Charlton,
all of that.
I think.
I've never actually really compared. I'm just flicking back between each
Mark
version
Bright's
of it.
footballing career. Yeah. I have.
Liam.
Don't entertain him, Jason.
I know. He's got that cheeky grin about him. It's because it's gone past 12 o'clock. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Don't feed me after this time.
Yeah,
exactly.
God.
He's gone gremlin. Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you flick between the kind of US and UK, like I'm gonna say it. I prefer the UK version.
Same.
Personally, I just really like that kind of quality. But that is definitely with my glasses on from childhood memories and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course it influences it. Yeah, absolutely.
Totally. But they're both great. But I'd never really realised because in the US version you can properly see the ground and what he's standing on. And stuff like that. It's a lot darker in the UK version, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. They really went a different way with it, and I like that. So
that's really cool.
I figured I had something else in mind. I'll hold it back in case we do come back to this topic.
That's a peak place to end, though.
This is
Absolutely
what I thought,
great.
and I thought with Mark Bright, the comic artist Mark Bright, having passed away just recently,
nice to
I thought,
remember him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It deserved that tribute of just like being talked about again. Not that this comic is ever really out of kind of public consciousness. I don't think. I think even now it gets circulated pretty widely online and things like that, and rightly so. So yeah,
it's got some good goals as well.
Good God.
Honestly.
We've still got more of your nonsense yet to
Good
come,
goals.
Liam, so can't say about that. But anyway, that is, of course, going to do it for the comic chat tonight. Have you enjoyed it? Do share maybe some of your favourite comic covers with us as well. If you're one of our patrons, get on a Discord and you can do it on there. Or if you're not, just tweet at us or whatever it is and you can tell us all about your favourite comic covers as well.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We do like to hear about all of that kind of stuff, don't we? So... And speaking of Patreon and all of that, we do have a Patreon, don't we?
We do. A very glorious Patreon.
It's pretty bloody special is what I'm saying. It's pretty amazing. Yeah. 5 epic, glorious tiers on this baby, on this bad boy, slapping it on the bonnet there and just, taking it for a spin. It's pretty incredible, our Patreon. You can sign up and just, pay us £1 a month just to say hello and thanks because you love the pod. That's always appreciated. Or you can get access as a man in pig to episodes like this up to and sometimes even over a week early. We're now publishing these on Mondays, by the way, in case you've not noticed. And you can get them a Monday early on the old Patreon there. Or you can get on as an inner beast and get onto our Discord as well, which is the hopping place to be. Absolutely hopping as it is. That's pretty special. And there's a lot of chat on there, as you say. You get little perks like comic covers and images and things posted for you for these chats as well. Or you can become a Sixo's Butler and get access to our fortnightly minisodes. Or indeed, you can become a Gold Box Classic and get our fortnightly mini-series as well and get our lovely Skybound chat and IDW chat and all of that kind of stuff. And we've also got, now, we're only on the blubbing YouTube, aren't we, lads?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Short circuits. Like and subscribe. Off we go.
No disassemble.
Yeah, definitely not.
Hey, laser lips. Your mama was a snowblower. Did everyone else used to say that at school? That's all we used to say to each other.
Yeah, we used to say that
friends
quite a lot.
that did do that. Yeah. Quoting Short Circuit.
That did happen.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, this is our new ongoing YouTube series where we talk about Transformers cartoons from the past and present, and you definitely want to go and check that out because it's free. Although you can get it also a week early on our Patreon as well, if indeed you signed up.
Do that.
So
it's better that way.
Yeah, definitely better. So, and another perk of the Patreon, of course, is that you get to ask some questions. Isn't that right, Jason?
You do. And you also get a shout out when you join as a patron. So we have one new patron this time, guys. And that is Gruffatron, who's come in as a Sixo Butler. So very warm welcome to
Can you do that again?
Gruffatron.
Ooh, those rolling R's.
I feel like it's like the start of like the Dad's Army theme tune or something, like the little drum.
Okay.
It's a great name. I really like it. It's like very, very fun to say. Gruffatron. So he's coming as a Sixo Butler. So very warm welcome to you. And we have also 2 questions for you tonight, guys. So first one, hi Triple Takeover. I had a question for the pod. Smiley emoji. If you had a time machine and could go to the Transformers 1986 movie writer's room, what song, past or present, would you use to replace the touch? Also, would you keep Hot Rod / Rodimus as the main character, or would you change him to a different character and create a snowflake effect that would still be felt today? Thanks for all the top work, guys. The podcast and Patreon is the popping place to be. Elliot / Video.
Yes.
Elliot Wright. Thanks, Elliot. Great questions. So, so first of all, we're in the writer's room. What song, past or present, would you use to replace the touch? Sixo.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. Dead easy. It would be Sabotage by the Beastie Boys.
Great choice.
Because I've already done it. That's the thing.
I've already done it.
You can go and watch it online. I've posted this many times before because I bloody had a lot of fun ripping the music out of the Transformers the movie and putting Sabotage in there and finding out that it works surprisingly well. Like, it really syncs up quite beautifully. That would be my choice, definitely.
I love it. That's great. Liam, what about you?
I would do Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins.
Great
that's
choice.
a good one.
Imagine every ramming thrust, highway to the danger zone.
Wham!
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Never say hello to you.
What about you, Jason?
So I actually
Enya.
Earlier on I put onto my Sonos the song, and I got the sequence up on YouTube, turned it down and played this song with it, just raw, right from the beginning of the song, just to see what would happen. And surprisingly, it synced up very well. And if anyone wants to do it at home, it's a lot of fun. It's Firestarter by The Prodigy.
No way.
Yeah, and it's amazing how well. There's moments where Megatron gets shot against the wall and it says Twisted Firestarter and this fire comes out behind him and then Prime starts shooting. And it's surprisingly good how it works. And I
feel like we're going to have to publish these edits now, aren't we?
I did do a little video of it, but I'll share it some other time. I could put it on Twitter once this comes out. But it was, these deserve to be put together properly, I think, so we could always share this. It's cool.
Fantastic.
And then also, just a reminder, if you were, would you keep Hot Rod Rodimus as the main character, or would you change him to a different character to create a snowflake effect that would be still felt today? Liam, what do you reckon?
What was the question again?
You've had it twice.
Do you want to keep Hot Rod and Rodimus as the main character, or would you change him to a different character and create a snowflake effect that would still be felt today? The easy answer is you just say keep him.
Yeah, keep him. I've thought about this one loads, so obviously. So yeah, keep him.
Okay, nice. Sixo, what about you?
I'd keep him. I mean, I think Hot Rod Rodimus is such an integral part of that film. But also it's great to get media that isn't all about Optimus Prime, as the primary protagonist or whatever. So for me, you couldn't have the movie without him, really. He's the catalyst of a lot of it. So
yeah, and sometimes people have to go away for you to miss them, and that's what happened with Optimus Prime. That's why we got Rodimus for a bit.
Very true.
So, yeah.
I am going to be very controversial and replace him with Wheelie. Because I know that would have a massive knock-on effect, because then when he becomes Old Man Wheelie, the trauma would be real. Imagine how horrible that would be.
Oh man, like how Hot Rod goes to Rodimus. Like, I imagine Wheelie, instead of doing like his rhymes, he'd do haikus as an older guy. That would be the change. Instead of doing all the rhyming, it'd just be like haikus. That would be what the Matrix.
And the Decepticons would win. That's basically the knock-on. The snowflake effect would be massive.
I just imagine him being like some really annoying stand-up comedian, like Jimmy Carr or something. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, it'd just be like painful.
God,
I did giggle when
one-liner after one-liner.
Yeah.
So thanks, Elliot /Vilio. Good questions. Next one. If you were a Transformer, which faction /alt mode combo would you pick within the G1 1980s era, Beast Wars era, and more modern era movies as Spark? And that's from 360 Verse. Sixo. Where would you go with this?
Yeah. Right. I gave this a lot of thought. I know Liam is busting to get in there with his choices because he's really been thinking about this.
Yeah,
this one.
deeply.
I've actually written down mine.
So have I. Yeah, so have I.
Well, do you guys go first then?
Yeah, it's all right. We will. I'll give you time. Don't worry. It's fine.
Well, G1 era, I went Corvette. I think it's just too cool, man. You know, like tracks.
That's cool. Yeah,
and then you get the bonus of the flying car mode as well. So
yeah, good choice.
It both ways.
That. Yeah, totally. That's good.
I know you like having it both ways, Jason. So I thought you might appreciate that. And Beast era, and it'd be an Autobot because I'm an Autobot at heart.
Good guy.
Yeah, exactly. A friend. And Beast era, probably be a giraffe because it reflects my tall person. Yeah, not quite as tall as you, Jason. I think there might be sort of a couple of centimeters in it, but it reflects my tall person status. I think giraffe, sort of long of limb and quite tall, and modern era. I don't know, probably like a sensible hatchback or something that has got good mileage. Yeah, a Volvo V40. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. Good boot space, really good for the school run, and good mileage as well.
Nice. Good choices. Love it.
And an Autobot.
Okay. Liam, don't worry. You've got more time. I'll do mine first. I
figured it out now. Don't worry.
Oh, have you?
I've remembered from my full day of thinking about this question.
Oh, okay. Do you want to go then? You go then. I'll do mine last.
Yeah, go then. So G1, I would be a Lamborghini Countach because it's like the coolest car, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. It looks like Action Master
Megatron.
Yeah. So this was the question, right? I've got it right.
That's the question.
Now you need to do a Beast Wars.
That is the question.
Yeah.
Oh, Beast Wars.
Be an animal.
I don't know. It's squirrel. Probably be a squirrel. Be kind of fun.
Squirrel. Is that an Autobot or a Decepticon?
Oh dear, that's nuts.
Who knows, Jason? Maybe I'm a nail, non-aligned, whatever they were called.
No.
Just a peaceful squirrel. I like dry roasted peanuts, and I think squirrel like peanuts, don't they? Or something, so.
What about your movies Earthspark era, modern era, for example?
Sort of. Oh, the Zamboni. There we go.
Zamboni.
Be that even some Stone Cold Steve Austin could ride around in like a beer truck or a Zamboni. Zamboni would be kind of fun. You're just going around at half time at ice hockey games.
What about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle truck? That'd be a good one as well.
Well, if I can get Back to the Future car, all of these things.
Oh yeah, true. That's fine.
I think Zamboni because I could zoom around the ice at half time. Doing all that.
Good laugh. You're having the best times. They're great choices. Yeah. Mine were all a bit too serious, actually. So I'd be an Autobot for G1 1980s era. I would be Sandstorm because similar thinking to you, Sixo. I would like
be
a Dune buggy and helicopter flying about.
Having it both ways.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. That's what I like. And
I've thought that
for Beast era, I would be a Decepticon because I'd be Megatron. I'd be the T-Rex. Because
a Decepticon in the Beast era.
Yeah, that's allowed.
Would you not be a Predacon, Jason, in the Beast era?
Oh, what ifs? I don't understand that. Don't pull me up on technicalities there.
Just don't ask him which seeker he'd be. We'll be here all night, honestly.
The Thundercracker.
Sky guy.
Thundercracker is the blue, yeah.
He's the play one. Exactly. And then for my kind of modern era, I'd go Earthspark RC because she was a 50s style kind of muscle car.
Yeah.
Which is very nice.
Bright hot pink, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So bit of diversity across mine. I quite enjoy that. Lots of different things going on. Yeah, it's cool. So thanks 360verse and to Video for those questions.
Great stuff. Excellent. So, and if you want to get a question on the pod, you can sign up at our Patreon and all of these other perks as well. So do get yourself on there. It's patreon.com/Triple Takeover.
And we have a Redbubble.
Yeah.
And this will shock you, but this week we had a question.
And,
just about some products we do. Ben, from Ben Nevis.
Yes.
Haven't you done that one?
Possibly, but
I'm here now. It's important.
Is he a repeat questioner? Is he?
Just come back. He's a regular fan. But actually, to be fair, there was two people. So there was Ben from Ben Nevis and Edmund from Bury St Edmunds. They both asked the same question.
Did they?
They both inquired about hiking. I don't know. Are we getting to that time of year or something? And they were like, "Oh, we're going hiking. Do any hiking gear?" And I'm like, "Oh, Ben Nevis. I believe that's some sort of mountain somewhere in Bury St Edmunds. I don't know where that is, but maybe there's hiking trails. People are into that."
Wait, what?
But,
Ben Nevis is where?
Is it some kind of mountain?
Yeah. In Scotland.
Yeah. Wait, exactly. Your neck of the woods. I've been near it. I went to Fort William.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
right
that's there. Yeah. It's the tallest mountain in the UK.
We haven't had anything from William yet, from Fort William, but I suspect in the future we might.
I have actually climbed Ben Nevis.
Yeah, it's good fun. It's got big steps.
It's good fun. Yeah. It was good fun.
Now he's flexing about his mountain climbing abilities.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I replied to both Edmund and Ben to say, we don't really do any hiking equipment, but what you should get is a protective iPhone snap case with this, any of these fantastic designs, the throttle bots, the G2 throttle bots we did, that Sixo did fantastic out of. Because when you're out hiking, you want to keep your phone safe. So get yourself a phone case. redbubble.com/people/triple takeover/explore. Sort you out.
Fantastic. Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go.
Hike ho.
Hike ho.
Hike ho. Wonderful. I always look forward to these segments of yours, Liam. Thank you. What a wonderful way to round off the pod.
It's just our listeners.
I want a phone case now. I didn't realise. I'm glad you told me about that.
We do. Yeah, that's great. We do them. You can get them.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And if you want to get in touch with the pod.
Oh, yeah. We also have social media. So as Sixo mentioned earlier, if you want to let us know your favourite covers, things like that, just hit us up. Triple Takeover on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Blue Sky. And
YouTube.
Yeah, and on YouTube. Go and check out Short Circuits and all our other content on there. It's fantastic. Sixo, we already know where you are. You are on everything. So go on, humour us. Where can people find you?
Pretty much, corresponding to anywhere that you might locate an at.
An at? Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
Jason, let's just forget about that guy. Where can he find you?
Wow.
Oh dear. You can find me. Where should we go today? We'll go to Twitter, Jason_R_Wagner with a W.
I am still Toybox Oatbox anywhere there's an at.
The original.
The OG.
Still mine.
The OG.
Yeah, the OG. He's too young to be the OG.
Exactly. The YG.
Dear. Right, anyway, that's going to do it for today's episode. It's been great fun. If you'd like to hear us come back and do a bit more of this another time, more comic book covers, then let us know. But I'm certainly up for it. I know you guys are too. Fab. So
yeah,
cool. Thanks for tuning in. Do go and check out Short Circuits. It's a new thing for us. We really appreciate the support. Go and smash that like button. Really appreciate it. Get on our Patreon if you want more of this. And otherwise, we'll catch you for the next episode. Thanks for listening.
Highway to the danger zone.
Wham!